Hi, I'm Michaela Rozier, and for my project, I did the Education for All Handicapped Children Act of 1975. Just some background and history. Prior to 1975, there was no federal laws for children with disabilities. In 1975, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act was passed. It guaranteed a free, appropriate public education for all students with disabilities. So to qualify for this, the qualifications for a disability student to be considered for this act is that a student has to either have a mental or physical disability. A plan must be created for each of these types of students, and the purpose of this plan is to make sure that these students had a plan to make their education as successful as those without a mental or physical problem. The purpose of this plan, there was four main purposes for the act. At first, the plan was to make sure that all children with disabilities had access to free education, appropriate education, and public education. Many of these students weren't allowed to go to school because they didn't have the needs and stuff that they needed to provide them education. Other things were to make sure that the rights of the children and parents were protected under this law. It assisted states in providing education for children with disabilities and to assess effectiveness of children's education with a disability. So some effects of this law, it helped over millions of kids be able to go to public school and be included instead of not being able to get any education. It made teachers have to be trained in special education classrooms in order to teach the kids. So it gave them more training, and it helped students ages birth through 21. So anyone that had a disability would get services until they're 21. So the act was revised in 1999. They changed the act from All Handicapped Children was now changed to Individuals with Disability Education Act, IDEA, again in 1990. This continued to serve as the most influential special education law in the U.S. The IDEA now requires an individual transition plan for students with disabilities. I know this class is for younger, but it starts at the age of 14, the transition plan. The revised act added new categories and qualifications. It added new categories of autism and traumatic brain injury. So the reason for the change of the name is language was important. So it replaced the term of children to individuals in addition to changing the name handicap to with disability. The process, the language, and understanding surrounding disabilities in society. So it's important, person first language, referring to the individual before the disability. So you're gonna do person first and then disability second. This shows that people are not defined by their disability. So I do have a question for you guys. What are ways to help people learn first language? And how would you go about like telling someone that, oh, maybe you should say it this way instead of this way without personally attacking them? The next thing is, how did the public or legal process of this work? So parents were pleased with the act being passed. It allowed their children to get education they deserved. And then also, if things weren't being done correctly, they had a law that they could go back to and explain, like, this is what the law says and we need to help provide for my child. And then in 2004, it was revised again. The Individual with a Disability Act is a law ensuring service to children with disabilities throughout the nation. IDEA governed how the state and public agencies provided early intervention, special education, and related services to 6.5 million eligible infants, toddlers, children, and young with disability. So basically, it added the younger portion, and it benefited everybody in school. So some teaching styles, it changed learning for special education. It mandated schools to create IEPs to teach students. They based on like a specific student, so they're written for that student, and it was made by the teacher, parent, specialization areas, so like physical education, or not physical education, physical therapy, OT, PT, and the student if possible. And it helps teachers be able to help each student to reach their goal and help them learn the ways they need to. So parent reaction, parents were concerned about the first law that was crafted because they felt that there was still some areas in which the schools were not prepared to help their students be successful. When the act was amended in 2004, it was written partly by parents and students with disabilities to help provide additional support for individuals with disabilities. So my reaction, at first I was glad that this act was made. I feel that all students, no matter what, deserve a good education. I think that in 2004 was a huge for the special education community because I believe that all students are more than their disability. But I do feel that it's been a while since it's been updated because in 2004. So I feel like the world has changed, and within the disability community, I feel like it's changed, especially within the last year. I just feel like so much has changed. So maybe we should find new things to add so that we benefit all the students more. And then personal teaching. I prefer teaching style is to allow my students to have choice within their learning. When the act was revised in 2004, it supported that learning style because it discussed the importance of individualizing, modifying, and accommodating education plans and standards to allow all students to be successful no matter their ability. And I think this picture really shows the changing and modifying everything. And then these are the sites that I use to get all my information. Thank you.